This training is going to break down the question of how do I use an event inside of a group. There's multiple ways you can and multiple reasons you should, and then there's sometimes that you should not. So I'm going to take you inside of a couple groups that I have. I'm going to show you events that I have created, and I'm going to talk with you about how to utilize them, what benefit they have, and where they make the most sense, okay? So my name is Cathy Callahan. I love sharing all things social media, online marketing, systems, tools, and strategies to build your network marketing and direct sales business. I have this recording streaming into my personal team group, onto my YouTube page, and inside of my hopefully this will be beneficial because I know this has been a question. If you are watching this on replay, drop hashtag replay below. If you are watching this on YouTube and you want more tips like this, subscribe. If you are watching it on Facebook, tap the buttons in the top right to turn on notifications for whenever I go live. All right, so let's screen share. I'm going to take you over to a couple groups I have, and I want to show you what I do with them. Okay, so first I'm going to jump into my party group. Let's start there. Okay, so if you are doing Evergreen, this is actually the place that you are most often going to be working with me. If you are inside of Evergreen, this is where we do a lot of training together, and we learn how to create Facebook groups, one of the main ones being our party group. So in this case, what we want to take a look at is how would you set up an event inside of this specific type of group. So let's first talk about what kind of group this is. This is a group that is specifically for a virtual party. So if you've done the virtual parties challenge, you are doing virtual parties already in your business, you're either using groups or you're using events. In this case, we're using a group, all right? So if you did use an event within the group, why would you do that? So we do a little bit of this on the day 3 training of the virtual party challenge. We talk about, should we set up a group for our party or should we set up an event? There is the option to do both. So there is the option to first set up the group, then go inside and set up the event. And this is the one that it's most confusing for people. So I really want to make sure, especially for the Evergreen group, that this makes sense to you, okay? So if you're doing the Evergreen party, or if you're doing any kind of group where you never close the group, right? So not a pop-up group that's going to close, but a group that's always going to be open. We are trying to fill the group with content that is evergreen, meaning it's content that will always be useful. For that reason, when I do any kind of posting, I just do it right inside of the group because I don't want to have that content not accessible to me later. And when you go through the trainings, I teach you then how to organize everything into units because you're going to be doing training throughout the week that is beneficial. And you can always be bringing people in and tagging them in past posts. But if you had this information hiding inside of an event, you wouldn't be able to do that. So I think it's first important to understand that when you post anything just in a group discussion, you'll be able to access it later, okay? So when it comes to setting up an event, I want to talk specifically in this scenario about how I would use an event, okay? So I'm going to post everything inside of the group, not inside of the event. You don't even have to use events at all. I'm going to post it all right inside the group. I teach you how to do a welcome post. It's right inside the group, put in the announcements, okay? You do other content throughout the day. In fact, I think Jessica's live right now. And anything we do, we post into the announcements that is for that week, okay? So anybody that's invited to the party, when a hostess invites someone to the party, they're simply inviting them into the group, and then we use the ATM method. Add people to a group, tag them in the message, like the welcome post or whatever message or post is helpful to them, message them to make sure that they saw it. Now, I think most people understand that, like do all the content inside of the group, the party's happening inside of the group for a couple reasons. We have new hostesses coming in. We also have other people who've stayed, right? So here is how we're doing this. Now, why might you set up an event within this type of group? So when it comes to your party group, and I want to talk to that one specifically, if I set up an event, the only reason I use it, and I'll show you, is simply as a reminder that the party's coming up, because I do a party every Tuesday. So if you click on any of these past events and you read what it says, the only reason I'm doing this is because when you set up an event, you can make it more specific to the actual date and time. So it's like, okay, that's the Tuesday party on the 20th. And you can go ahead and invite certain people or the whole group. So you can use this as a way for Facebook to notify these people of the specific date and time. So the disadvantage to groups is that there's just a bunch of content in there. It may not be clear there's an actual date and time for something. So if I do create an event, it is solely for that purpose. And you can see here, maybe because it's kind of small, but you can tell people, hey, this is what's happening. Oops, sorry. How did I just do that? Crud. Okay, so you can tell people this is what's happening. This is where it's going to be. So it's going to be live in the group. All right, it's going to be live in the group. It's not going to be, we don't post anything else in the event. Everything is posted inside of the actual group. So the only purpose of the event is to be able to specifically invite people, to create clarity so that they understand, okay, it's happening at 8:30 on the 20th, and it's happening in the group. And so then whenever it's time to go there, they can go, okay, click here. Or they're already going to also see it posting in the group. And if you do like my trainings I teach you, you're going to actually have that live video posted in the announcements of the group. So whenever someone comes in, okay, it's going to be part of your announcements. And when I do the live party, I actually teach you to pin that one to the top. So the very first thing they would see is the live video, okay? So that's important. I hope that makes sense. That is how I personally use events. It is only to create clarity, get people a notification, because what happens is when you create an event, and I'll show you real quick here. When you create an event inside of a group, and you go to create event, Facebook allows you to invite people from the group. You can upload a specific photo, but it's just a reminder, Tuesday night party. You could, if you're wanting to name a host, you could say Callie's party. But I use it just to notify the whole group, okay? But you could use it to help be specific for your host, but you're still going to do the same party for the whole group. What happens down here that's pretty cool is you can add a co-host. So if you wanted Callie to be able to invite specific people, and you can invite your whole group at one time. So it says invite your friends in the healthy living group. That would invite like 200 people at one time for me. So Callie, if she's the host, it would right there say invite your friends. So she could very quickly invite all her friends that are in that group, okay? So there always is a lot of questions around how to use an event inside of a group. What's important to know is you're not going to be posting content in here. It's just to set up clarity for the date and time and to specifically invite certain people. So if you have more questions on that, let's talk about that in the group coaching call for Evergreen. Let's look at 2 other groups and see how I've used events within those groups. So the Clean Eating Crew is a value group I have. It doesn't sell products. It's not a party group. It's just a group with a lot of recipes, meal plans, lifestyle tips. But on occasion, we do challenges, which a challenge could be kind of considered a party. But this is not a routine challenge. It's not like every certain day we start one or every certain whatever. We simply have them going on all the time. Now, or we have them going on intermittently. So now when I use an event inside of this group, it's different than the party group, okay? I do not want everybody in this group seeing all of the challenge info, because most people coming in here, they're not coming in for the challenge. They're coming in for everything that's in here. Recipes, meal plans, lifestyle tips, mostly recipes. When I do a challenge, if you're in the Evergreen training, you have a lesson on how to use challenges to grow your group. That is the purpose. I'm going to host a challenge inside of this group. People will first have to come into the group, then they can get into the event. So if you go into past events in this group, it is very different than my party group. Any of these challenges you see here, they are actually going to have a ton of content in them because we hosted the challenge in here and we put all of the content in here. Mostly we do this because this will have some product information. It will have value stuff. So yeah, we're losing out on it being in the group, but it's more for the challenge. It's more to track people who are in it. It's more to be able to promote products a little bit. And we don't want that to take over the group because that is not the group's main purpose. So people who opt into the challenge, why would we house it inside of this Clean Eating Crew group? Because the strategy is they have to come into the group first. So they have to be in this group in order to get into the event. All right. So that means when this event is over, we don't lose them. They're still in this group. What used to happen is we would do parties or challenges outside of a group, and then when it was over, we would lose them. So here we host the challenge inside of an event. We keep all the people who wanted to go separate. These are the only people who will see the content. And yes, that does mean all this content is just stuck in this event. So if there's anything we really wanted in the group, we would have to copy it over, okay? One more example, and then hopefully you'll understand how you can utilize events inside of groups and make a decision when it makes sense to do that and not do that. So again, in the party group, I just put all the content in the group. That is the purpose of that group is for the parties. So I don't need to hide the parties inside of events, okay? I only use events just to notify them of the date and time. And I don't always even do that because it's the same date and time every week. But for these groups like this one, for example, where I have an online business group, if you're doing special parties, events, challenges, workshops, whatever you call them, and that's not what the purpose of this group is, this is a group to share online strategies all the time, well then, just like the Clean Eating Crew, I'll go in and I'll set up an event, just like I'm doing right now, the Virtual Party 5-Day Challenge, and I will house all of that content inside of the event that way, okay? So once again, this is just like the Clean Eating Crew. I'll be posting content in there. The girls have homework, and I want them only to post their videos in here. That is helpful to me because then I can find it, but it's not flooding the discussion. So the whole discussion is not, filled with all of this. When this event's over, all these videos will only be accessible through the event, and that's super important for me. I don't want everything that came through here to fill the group, right? Now, could I go delete it out? Yeah, but there's going to be hundreds of videos in here, all right? I hope that helps as you are making decisions on how to utilize the event feature inside of groups. You just have to understand why. And so for me, because I'm using it differently in each group, that helps me know when to set it up. For my party group, because I'm only using it as a quick reminder that it's happening, I honestly don't even set up the event until the day of the party. So they're in the group, they're tagged in the welcome post. That explains everything that's going on, right? The only reason I use the event is so that they can get a notification up in their notifications from Facebook that it's happening right now, okay? In the Virtual Party Challenge, we learn other ways to do that. You've got a Facebook group message, hopefully that your hostess has set up, and you also have reach outs that you're doing to the guests. This is just one more way to make sure they know where they're supposed to be and when. Okay, I hope that helped. If you have questions and you're in the Evergreen Party Group, just let's talk about them on coaching. You can post them up in the announcements of the Evergreen Party Group for that purpose. If you're watching this anywhere else and you have questions, if you're on my team, just reach out to me. If you're on YouTube, message me and we can chat more about that. All right, make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube. Facebook, turn on notifications so we can stay connected with all things social media, online growth, tools, strategies, and all the good things. All right, guys, bye for now.